There are more than 1 billion credit cards on this planet. In the United States alone, people are carrying over 500 million of them, 3 or 4 for every single adult. And every time one of them gets swiped, somebody gets a little richer. It's almost never the person doing the swiping. Americans now owe more than $1.2 trillion on their credit cards. That's an all-time record, and that's the New York Fed's own number. The average interest rate on that debt is over 20%. Sit with that for a second. There is no bank on earth that will pay you 20% to save your money, but they will happily charge you 20% to spend it. And here's what that actually costs. According to the CFPB, Americans hand over more than $100 billion a year just in credit card interest and fees, not paying off what they bought, just renting the money to buy it. $100 billion every year flowing straight from regular people to the banks for nothing you can touch, keep, or sell. That little rectangle in your pocket feels like freedom. It feels like power. It was never built to help you. It was built to do one job: keep you owing money for as long as humanly possible. It is not really a credit card. That word is a paint job. It's a debt card. And before this video is over, you're going to see exactly how it slipped into your pocket and why you can't seem to put it down. So how did we get here? How did one man forgetting his wallet at dinner accidentally invent the most profitable little object of the last 100 years? How did banks turn that accident into a machine that runs on your worst impulses? And how did a world full of savers turn into a world full of people spending next month's paycheck today? By the end, you'll have an answer to one simple question. Is the credit card your friend, or did you quietly become its servant? Rewind to 1945. The Second World War just ended. America comes out of it the richest, most powerful country on the planet. The factories that spent years building tanks and bombers suddenly have nothing to build, so they switch to consumer goods. Cars, fridges, televisions, washing machines, millions of them rolling off the line. Except nobody wants to buy them. The people alive in 1945 had just survived 2 disasters back to back: the Great Depression and a World War. That generation didn't spend money. They guarded it. Sure, you'd take a loan for a house or a car, big things that last. But borrowing money for luxury? For fun? The idea was insane. Nobody walked into a bank asking for a loan to go on vacation. You wanted a holiday? You saved for it. So you've got a country full of shiny new products and a public that refuses to buy any of the fun stuff. That's the setup. Then, one night in New York in 1950, it all cracks open. A businessman named Frank McNamara is at a restaurant. He finishes dinner, reaches for his wallet, and it's gone. Left it at home. Worst dinner of his life. And somewhere in that moment, an idea hits him. What if you never had to carry cash again? Next time, Frank shows up with a small cardboard card, his name printed on it. The deal is simple. Eat now, the card vouches for you. Pay later. He starts with a couple dozen friends and a handful of restaurants in Manhattan. He calls it Diners Club. And it spreads fast. First through his friends, then across the city. And this is where it quietly turned into a business. Diners Club charged members a yearly fee and took a cut from the restaurant on every bill. So Frank made money on both sides. This is the first real charge card in action. And honestly, up to this point, the story is pretty harmless. A clever convenience. You might even be a little bored right now. That's fair. But the second the banks look at this and smell the money, everything changes. That's where it gets dark. Every big bank wanted its own version. Not a favor between friends, but a loan you carried in your pocket, running on their money and their interest. Now, debt card sounds terrible. Nobody signs up for a debt card. So they called it a credit card instead. Exact same product, nicer word. Debt makes you sound like you failed. Credit makes you sound trusted, respected, approved. Genius. A little evil, but genius. Even with the new name, people weren't signing up fast enough. So in 1958, Bank of America did something that would be borderline illegal today. An executive named Joseph Williams was sure that once people tried this, they'd never stop. So the bank just mailed out live working credit cards, 60,000 of them, to people in Fresno, California who never asked. No application, no credit check, just a working card sitting in your mailbox. It's remembered today as the Fresno Drop. Within a year, they'd pushed cards onto around 2 million people across the state. Then reality hit. Roughly 1 in 5 couldn't pay on time. Between the fraud and the missed payments, it cost the bank millions. Serious money now, a fortune back then. And this is the part that tells you everything. It didn't stop them. It didn't even slow them down. Because for every person who couldn't pay, 4 more were paying interest, and that interest was worth far more than the losses. That messy little card program grew up to become Visa. Its biggest rival became MasterCard. Every major bank jumped in, and the credit card boom swept across America, then the entire world. And this isn't only an American story. In the UK, households carry tens of billions of pounds in card debt. Walk into a shop in Germany, though, and try to pay with credit? Half the time they'll point at the register and ask for cash. Germans just don't trust the things. South Korea went the other way in the late 90s, pushing cards so hard to boost spending that they inflated a full card debt bubble, and it burst in 2003. Same piece of plastic, completely different outcomes. Because the real product was never the card. It was the idea that you should spend tomorrow's money today. Some countries bought the idea wholesale. Others never touched it. Guess which ones sleep better? So why do banks want a card in every pocket on Earth? And why do we love them so much? Is everybody winning here, or are people getting played? Most of the time, nobody wins but the bank. Most of the time, you end up working for your card. To see why, you need one simple idea: how debt actually works. I'll keep this dead simple. Debt gets paid back with interest on top, because money has a time value. Watch the difference. Say you borrow money and put it into something that builds value, a business, a skill, property. A year later, that thing is worth more than what you borrowed plus interest. You pay it back and still come out ahead. That's good debt. That's the engine behind every company on Earth. Now take that same borrowed money and spend it on consumption instead. You put a 5-day vacation on a 12-month plan. The trip costs $5,000. By the time you finish paying it off with interest, you've handed over $6,000. And what do you have to show for it? A tan and some photos. The vacation was gone the second it ended. You gained nothing. The bank made $1,000. That is the entire business model right there. This is why cards are a dream for banks. Before credit cards, people borrowed for things that build or hold value: a home, a shop, land. Nobody took out a loan to buy a games console or a new phone. Debt was for building a future. The credit card broke that wide open. It let people buy luxury with money they don't have. And it did it by hijacking your brain. Because your brain is wired to grab pleasure now and worry later. You can save for a year and then buy the car, or drive it home today and pay more for it over the next 5 years. Guess which one wins? The guy living like a king on the beach is not thinking about the payment plan. That feeling, I can have it now, is what every credit card ad on the planet is actually selling. Not a product, a feeling. For centuries, sellers only had their eyes on the savings sitting in your bank account. The card let them go further. Now, they could get you to spend money you hadn't even earned yet. Your future paychecks on sale today. And now the unsettling part. The card was quietly rewiring your brain. Researchers at MIT ran an experiment where people bid on tickets, some paying cash, some paying by card. The card users were willing to pay up to 100% more, double, for the exact same thing. Scientists even have a name for what disappears when you swipe: the pain of paying. Hand over real cash, and the discomfort centers in your brain light up. It stings a little, and that sting stops you. Tap a card, and that pain barely fires. One study found McDonald's customers spent almost 50% more when they paid with plastic instead of cash. 50% more fries, because your brain never felt the money leave. You know who figured this out a long time ago? Casinos. They don't let you bet with cash. They make you buy chips first. Because losing chips doesn't feel like losing real money. Your card pulls the exact same trick on your brain. Congratulations, your wallet is a tiny casino, and the house always wins. The card alone was already blowing up spending. Then the internet showed up and poured gasoline on it. Suddenly buying something takes no effort at all. You don't even get out of bed. 3 taps, and it's at your door tomorrow. Amazon actually patented the one-click purchase. That is how valuable it is to delete the half second where you might change your mind. Then social media landed on top. Everybody posting their best moment. The nicest trip, the nicest dinner, the newest thing. Can't afford it? Doesn't matter. Put it on the card. Pay it in installments. Sort it out later. Future you can deal with it. Because when we borrow, we always picture the best case. I'll work a year and pay it off. Easy. But what if you lose your job? What if you get sick? What if life hands you one surprise bill? The perfect little spender they built has no answer for any of that. One slip, one missed payment, and interest starts stacking on top of interest. And here's the trap they leave out of the ads. Pay only the minimum on a $5,000 balance at that 20+% rate, and it can take you more than 15 years to clear it, while you hand the bank thousands of dollars extra along the way. The minimum payment is not a helping hand. It's a leash. That's when you finally meet the dark side of the debt card. Every hour you work, every bit of effort you put in, going straight to interest on stuff you already used up and forgot about. Step back and look at what really happened. They took the person who quietly saved a little on the side and replaced them with a person who spends half of next year's income today. Someone buried in debt, always consuming, which is exactly the person this whole system wants. Because being in debt means one thing: you have promised to keep working. I'll stay on this treadmill another 20 years. You have my word. You get treated badly at work, and you can't walk away because the statements keep coming, and they don't care how you feel. You borrowed your way to a car, a trip, a phone, and told yourself you were free. You quietly sold that freedom to a bank. Now, don't walk away thinking all debt is evil. It isn't. Debt used well is one of the most powerful tools there is. No serious business gets built or grows without it. Borrowing to create value is smart. It's borrowing to feel good for a weekend that quietly wrecks you. The thing that convinced you it's perfectly normal to pay off a 5-day vacation over a whole year with interest, that thing is the credit card. It pushes you to spend your future in the present. It gets you to trade next year for this weekend. And more often than anyone wants to admit, it lays the first stones on the road to a very comfortable kind of slavery. So next time that little piece of plastic feels like freedom in your hand, ask who's actually free in the deal. It's not the person holding the card. If you want more of the stuff they'd rather you never think about, subscribe. I'll keep pulling the thread.